Hi and welcome. I'm Thalia, your educational avatar. In this knowledge clip, I'll guide you step by step through the world of artificial intelligence, or AI. You probably hear about it almost daily, but what does it actually mean in practice? I'll also show you how to craft effective prompts that can support your learning. Let's take a closer look at what we mean when we talk about artificial intelligence. AI is an umbrella term for systems that perform tasks that normally require human cognitive effort, such as recognizing, learning, predicting, or advising. AI can mimic aspects of human decision-making, but it remains a technical system, not a human mind. Here are a few examples. Think of systems that learn your preferences and make personalized recommendations, or a health app that analyzes your heart rate patterns. And of course, chatbots such as ChatGPT that generate responses based on what they've been trained on. AI models analyze massive amounts of data and detect patterns. Some systems are highly specialized, for example, software that predicts traffic congestion, while others can be applied much more broadly. Generative AI, often called Gen AI, goes one step further. These models don't just recognize patterns, they can generate entirely new content, such as text, images, audio, and more. They do this by creatively combining what they have previously learned. Now let's zoom in on the concept of a large language model. A large language model, or LLM, is a type of generative AI specifically designed to work with language. Well-known examples include ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, and Mistral. If you want a web browser and an AI chatbot that respect your privacy, consider using the free web browser DuckDuckGo and their AI chatbot, DuckAI. LLMs are trained on millions of books, websites, and articles, which enables them to produce convincing text that may read as if a human wrote it. But fundamentally, they are doing something simple, predicting the most likely next word, similar to the suggestion feature on your smartphone, but at a far more advanced level. When you give the model an instruction, also called a prompt, it builds a response word by word. Because this process is probabilistic, the same prompt can yield different answers, making the output somewhat unpredictable. AI models learn through machine learning. This means they are fed huge amounts of text and continually search for patterns, linguistic patterns as well as conceptual relationships. This learning process is iterative. The model adjusts step by step based on new feedback. More and more AI systems include additional functionalities. Let me highlight a few. Reasoning. AI can break down complex tasks into steps and internally explore variations before producing an answer. It may appear as if the model is thinking, but it is following automated reasoning processes. Web search. Some AI tools can retrieve up-to-date information from the internet. This can be helpful for recent developments, but the result is still a language prediction rather than a guaranteed fact. Deep research. With this function, AI can formulate research questions, analyze sources, evaluate methodologies, and generate new insights. Tasks that might take a person days can be completed by AI in minutes. Image generation. With a text description, AI can create entirely new images or edit existing ones. Examples include Midjourney and the image models from Google and OpenAI. Now, we arrive at the part most relevant to you as a school leader and student. What can AI do for you? You can think of AI as a highly responsive assistant, one that reads along, thinks with you, and generates ideas almost instantly. But one thing remains essential. You are responsible for the interpretations, decisions, and conclusions. AI makes mistakes and lacks context. AI is especially strong at generating and improving text, structuring or summarizing information, brainstorming and sparring, providing feedback, creating visuals, and, if you code, producing small code snippets. Let me give you a few examples. When you are working on a portfolio, lesson plan, policy document, or newsletter, you can ask AI to help you explore angles, identify risks, suggest alternatives, or point out areas for improvement. A good prompt might be, "You are a critical yet constructive parent on the school council of a primary school. Provide 5 improvement points with explanations for my proposal. Or, identify 3 areas of concern and explain why. But remember, AI must never take over your thinking. Use it as a sparring partner, not as a substitute. Although AI often sounds confident, it has clear limitations. Let me walk through them briefly. Hallucinations. AI predicts words. It does not know facts. It can therefore generate inaccuracies ranging from minor errors to serious misinformation. Unreliable references. If you ask AI for APA references, it may invent sources or misinterpret existing ones. Even specialized tools may miss articles behind paywalls. Lack of reproducibility. The same question can generate different answers, useful for brainstorming, but problematic in education, research, or policymaking. Confirmation bias. AI tends to follow your assumptions. If your thinking leans in a particular direction, AI will often reinforce that. This can narrow your perspective unless you explicitly invite challenge. Here is a practical model for writing strong prompts. It was developed by Berend Last and Thymen Sprakel, authors of Chatting with Napoleon. Describe the task. What exactly should AI do? For example, explain what misinformation is and give 3 ways it can spread. Describe the persona. What role should AI adopt? For example, you are an expert in media literacy. Describe the process. How should AI carry out the task? For example, start with a definition, provide 3 examples, and end with practical tips. Set the boundaries. What is the context? What should AI avoid? Define the target audience. Who will read the text and for what purpose? Specify the desired format. What length, style, or structure do you expect? Here are a few examples of how you, as a student, can use AI responsibly. You can ask AI to act as a sparring partner, posing critical questions or spotting inconsistencies. For example, you are a leadership expert. Ask critical questions about my text. Or, ask me 5 reflective questions about the situation described below. Do not provide answers. Or, give feedback on the clarity and readability of my text without rewriting the content. But AI can also engage in a Socratic dialogue with you, helping you deepen your reasoning. For example, engage in a Socratic conversation with me about the value of music education in primary schools. You can also ask AI to provide feedback from different perspectives for the sake of broadening your viewpoint. For example, read the text below and provide feedback from the perspective of researcher and author Michael Fullan. Here is an example of a prompt for a Socratic conversation. A Socratic dialogue is a deep, inquiry-based conversation in which the AI asks questions that help you clarify your thoughts, examine your assumptions, and sharpen your reasoning. The goal is not to arrive at a quick answer, but to better understand why you think what you think, what assumptions you rely on, and which alternatives exist. Typical features include open and probing questions, a neutral and non-judgmental tone, continuous clarification and justification from you, and no direct solutions, just deeper thinking. This approach helps you reflect more effectively, become aware of underlying assumptions, reason more thoughtfully, and justify decisions more consciously. My recommendation is not to use AI to write your reflections and contemplations during your studies. Why? Because I want you to experience a meaningful and rich learning process. As a school leader, you need to develop strategic thinking, structuring, analyzing, interpreting, creating, and distinguishing between main and secondary issues. If AI takes over that cognitive work, you miss an essential part of your learning process. However, AI can be used productively as a sparring partner for Socratic conversations or for feedback from different perspectives. That concludes my overview of using AI. I hope you found it helpful and that it supports your learning journey. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next knowledge clip.